Afternoon to you all here on the Feast of St. Junipero Serra, July 1st. You know, I really hoped that getting around to the first year of my anniversary of being pastor here in Weatherford would not be me sitting at home by myself, but such as it is, as you've probably seen on Facebook or Flocknote right now, or by now, dog wandering by. As you've probably seen, I was exposed to someone who had coronavirus this past Saturday, and so I am on lockdown or quarantine for 14 days from the time of exposure. So unfortunately we can't be doing anything this week. Not that my coming here to start being pastor is a feast or anything like that, but it would have been nice to at least have had Mass with everybody to be able to celebrate that, because it has been a blessing for me to be here. I hope that it's been a blessing for you too, that I certainly take it very seriously, very humbling to be trusted by you to be your pastor. So unfortunately what this means is that there won't be Mass publicly until not this weekend, but the weekend after. I think it's July 11th. That will then be 2 full weeks since the exposure time, and so we'll have 4 p.m. confessions, 5 p.m. adoration, and the weekend Mass is like normal, but unfortunately nothing until then. Now, this is very different than of this time last year. I was reflecting on this earlier, that last year, July 1st, and these weeks, it was entire uprooting of my life, for a good cause, of course, but moving here, coming into a house that was, I was just in boxes, of course, had to buy a new bed, while at the same time, getting to know the office staff and the people and settle into this new parish life. And now, somewhat ironically, oppositely, I have all the time in the world. Then a year ago, starting now, it was absolute chaos, as it always would be if you moved to a new home and got a new job on the same day. So there's a bit of irony that now it's entirely the opposite. I have 12 more days of everything being totally low-key and at my own schedule, which is, of course, as we know, has its pluses and minuses. But we'll make it through. I'm trying to be very deliberate and get things done, because as I'm sure many of us have discovered in the earlier quarantine time, having all of the time in the world doesn't mean you get everything done. It's so easy to do quite the opposite, in fact. So I'm really very deliberate to make good use of this time for my own good, but certainly for the good of the parish, to not let things fall by the wayside. Some practical matters. Of course, many of you have, or would if I didn't stop you, offer to bring things by and go shopping for me or whatever. I do have a few people doing that already, so please don't heap casseroles on the front porch. I would hate for them to go uneaten. Somewhat ironically, with the seminarian who was here, since he wasn't exposed, I've asked him to go stay with somebody else for a little while. He had actually bought groceries right before this, so the fridge is rather full of things. So maybe in a little while I might ask for some things, but for now, nothing is in need, and I would hate stuff to go to waste. So please don't, at least yet, bring anything by. This does bring home the need, though, to have more of a plan for the future. And so, it's something that we're working on anyways, of what to do for the fall, especially what RE classes might look like. We were certainly planning on a more limited setup, maybe just First Communion and Confirmation by itself, and then certainly with the encouraged option, if you would like, to do classes at home, which, as I've always said, the parents are the primary teachers anyways. We're glad to help as the parish, but in the home is where religious education primarily takes place. So it would be a modified, maybe a reduced system for the fall, with some other changes going in and out there, with feedback, of course. But having this experience of having been exposed and then having to make a quarantine, hopefully it doesn't happen all that often, but there's likelihood that either myself or somebody else in the parish staff or yourselves will be experiencing this kind of thing in the future. So it's something that we need to get used to and kind of figure out how to deal with. So maybe there's a blessing in a way that I'm experiencing this now in the quietude of summer, to do some thinking about how to proceed in the future, because this is unfortunately going to probably happen again to myself or to somebody else. Who knows, when vaccines will be available or how things will develop, but it's worth being ready for. Something that I think will help, though, we are in the process of getting much better internet service throughout all of our buildings. Now, it will be costing a bit more per month. Haven't signed anything yet, but if we go with what we have offered by the company, by Dobson, it will be costing a bit more per month, but I think it will be exceptionally worth it. AT&T has been miserable for us. I'm trying to spare too much complaining, but very frequently either the office computers and/or phones are down, the rectory internet is often down, or at least is incredibly slow. So our upgrade is to be, you can't see it I guess, but I'm looking at the RE building, so Wi-Fi throughout, 2 routers upstairs, at least 1 in the basement, and then Wi-Fi in the parish hall. Right now it kind of reaches from the office barely, but dedicated Wi-Fi for the parish hall, for the sanctuary, and for the rectory. And that should all be very high speed coming in through a fiber line. So that would enable us to have classroom usages, to show videos easily, to do much more live streaming or recording and uploading, that sort of stuff. If we're going to be dealing with distancing and coronavirus precautions and whatever for quite a while, which it seems like we will, even though this internet will cost us a bit more, I think in reliability, in speed, in ease of use, in broadness of coverage, it will be very much worth it. I hope to honestly make a lot of use out of that. Continue live streaming masses, other things. So it is a bit of an extra cost, not substantially more, but maybe twice what we were paying before, 2 to 3 times. But I think it will be easily 2 to 3 times more useful and more effective. So I hope that goes well. Other things we'll get back to as we can. We're going to have a parish council meeting. It might still happen in some form, but if I can't be there, that modifies it a bit. Other stuff, we'll do what we can. This is summertime, so I think patience is probably plenty to come by. There's not a lot going on, but this kind of thing might keep happening. I don't know. So let's stay safe, do what we can. Certainly know that I am praying for you guys every day. Hope you're praying for me. It's a great privilege to be your pastor this 1 year so far. I thank you for your patience. It's always a hazard of young pastors. It takes us a while to kind of settle into, being natural at it. So thank you for your patience with me. Know of my prayers, know of my gratitude, and God bless you all, and certainly I'll keep in touch as best as possible. Have a good evening.